Hello everybody, today we're gonna take a look at how do you mix bass guitar, alright? This is still gonna be the same song that we have used on the acoustic guitar and I believe it's the female vocals. Yes, it's the female vocals, and basically what we're trying to do right now is to just show you guys the importance of excuse me, the importance of each instrument, which is, which we've shown you a little bit of the vocals, not every vocals, and we've also shown you the acoustic guitar. And right now, we're taking a look at the bass guitar. All right, this is the part where, we take a look at the bass, and we usually think that the bass is just to be compressed, but I'm here to show you that you don't have to just compress your bass. You can play around with your bass. You can make it sound like it's not really like an electric guitar, but you can actually add so much like you can add color to it, you can add saturation to it, and some EQ coloration as well, like, hence, as you may have already shown you, which would lead to this type of mix. All right, so the thing is, just because it's a bass guitar, it doesn't mean to say that it has to just be the most boring instrument in the whole band. That shouldn't, that doesn't have to be the case. So right now we're going to take a look at why is it that the bass shouldn't just be that boring instrument. I put quote unquote because really the bass is not really a boring instrument. It's just how you play it in the context of a song. It depends on the song. Are you playing jazz, are you playing funk, which, by the way, both of those genres, the jazz and the funk, if you're a bassist like me, I know what the role, although I'm primarily a drummer, but I can also fill in with the bass. The thing with the bass is along those two genres is, on funk you can slap your bass, it doesn't sound boring. On jazz you're actually having a walk all over the fretboard. You can do that, and basically even on rock situations, some situations you can basically break the chord. You can play a broken chord. You can make it sound like it's a broken chord, as the bass, and that's your call. That's basically your what do you call that? That's your domain. That's your area of expertise. Sometimes you break the chord, sometimes you just counterflow. You don't go with the quote unquote the chord progression. You can basically get away from that just a little bit. Like, it doesn't have to be like all over the top. You don't have to necessarily overplay. I get it, but like I said, there are genres that do that, and there are times when you can do that as well. And it depends on whether you're playing with an artist, or you guys are just jamming. It just depends on the setting. Are you guys trying to shed? Are you guys trying to what are you guys trying to do? It just depends. Anyway, before we go further off topic, I'm really sorry that I was just sidetracked by that. The point is that the bass shouldn't be that boring instrument in your mix. You as the mix engineer. All right, so basically what I'm going to talk about is the use of distortion mainly, and of the EQ. And yeah, I'll throw in the compressor here as well. But what I want you all to know, that I want to emphasize the use of the EQ and the compression as well, or the distortion, along with the compression. Anyway, like, yeah, sure, for sure you need to compress your bass. That's for sure. Because you want a bass that is rock solid. You know, it doesn't uh, flake on you, or it doesn't falter. You know, it doesn't sound like it's lost its courage. You know, or you know what you know what I'm saying. Basically, you want a bass that stays consistent. You know, volume wise, so that it doesn't, you know, get buried by the entirety of the mix, and it will, you know, serve as the, you know, as the spine. It's also part of the spine or the glue of a, like, this is how I see the bass guitar. All right, the bass is the glue of all of these instruments. You know, if you take the bass off, all right, let me show you the example. If you take the bass off, this is how it sounds like. All right, let's put it back. All right, so basically, I noticed that we're clipping right there. You know. So all right, so basically, that is your bass for you. You know, if you take it off, if you don't compress it, you know, like I did here, you know, you guys already know. It just depends on your material, on what kind of compression your bass needs. This one in particular, it needs 8 decibels of gain reduction and 8 decibels of makeup gain in order to achieve that consistent volume, you know. It just depends on your bass, you know. It depends on how your bass, I mean, really mixing the bass is not really that hard for me, because with the bass you can actually play around with your EQ like this, you know, and you could still get away with it pretty much, you know, because I mean the bass is a technically it's a low end instrument, so therefore it'll have a lot of low end frequencies, and low end frequencies would translate that it's a dark instrument, or it's a low end instrument, hence it's called the bass, you know. So anyway, I'm gonna show you like the simplicity of this distortion and this EQ right now. So with our distortion settings, the only thing that I touched is the mix level, you know, and I'm gonna show you how it sounds like with or without this distortion. All right. All right, with. All right, so basically it adds a little bit of rattle to it, you know, and I don't really mind, because you know it's a bass, and it's not like it's going to be too pronounced in the entirety of the mix, but I want that, you know, because I also want it to sound good on small speakers, you know. I just don't want it to sound you know, good in, you know, in a complete setup. You know, let's just say you're listening to the bass on your iPhone speakers and all of that, and you know, you can also make it, you know, basically you can still make out that there is still a bass, you know, quite the bass at that level, you know, and even in that speaker setup, you know, to be more specific. So yeah, you know, don't be afraid to add this distortion, you know, because if you have watched my previous videos, you know, about what this distortion does, is that the fact that with this distortion, you know, what you can this distortion isn't just a distortion, you know. There is a fraction that this is also a compressor. There is a fraction that this is also a saturation plugin, you know. So, but mainly the biggest fraction of this is it's a distortion plugin, you know. Out of all the three, this is a distortion plugin. So, but okay, like I said, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it does those two other things, albeit in a lesser degree, you know, at a lower level. It's not, well, let's just say that that's not its priority. That's not what it's designed to do, you know, primarily, although it does some of that a little more, you know. So definitely, guys and gals, don't be afraid to use a distortion plugin, so basically just have fun with it, and maybe play around with the threshold settings, your how much bass signal you want it to hit this certain threshold before until you find that sweet spot where it's distorted, and yeah, there's you can change what kinds of compression, or sorry, distortion you're using, so yeah, you can definitely play around with it. I mean, it's a bass, you might find a sound that you like, you might find a sound better than this sound, and if you do, hey, share it in the comments down below, and what it is, I'd be happy to see what your settings are, hey, why not, we share each other's knowledge. All right, so now we're moving on to the EQ, and I don't think I need this, come to think of it, so maybe you can just turn this off, and I don't think it'll even hurt the mix, besides we already have that high pass filter over here, so yeah, you can turn it off, why not, but if you want to save some headroom, to your compressors, if it is kind of things like that, but that's not usually the case, so you can just turn it off. I mean, if you can see right now, there's like literally nothing here, so you can, yeah, definitely just turn it off, anyway. Sorry about that. Yeah, with the token number 5, we have at 4K at a Q factor of 1 at 3 decibels. All right, let me show you how that sounds like. All right, that's usually the, if it's a slap bass and you boost 4K, it usually sounds pleasant for us. I mean, of course, given that the condition of the recording of the bass guitar is very pristine, and it's not just mediocre recording. Of course, you're not gonna be able to hear that if it's mediocre recording. Anyway, if you boost 4K, this is a technique that I've learned. If you boost 4K at a slap bass, it usually sounds good. It'll give you that crunch, but it's not as bright as 8K. So, but in this case, I've added 8K as well at the Q factor of 1 and at 6 decibels. I wanted that brightness as well. This is what 8K sounds like. All right, so it's basically, it definitely sounds brighter than 4K. I mean, it's an octave above, so what do you expect? It is what it is, and basically with these two settings right here, 5 and 6, 4K and 8K, it actually brings out the bass, or the crisp of the bass, like it brings out the strings when it kind of sounds like new, and the tones as well of the strings, and given the fact that it also has the, what do you call that, the, should I say, metal sound. It's not really like heavy metal, but you know what I'm talking about, the sound of the strings, of your metallic strings. And yeah, it's the brightness of those strings, basically, basically put. Let's turn it off and let's see what the difference, All right, let's put it back in. So basically it just brings it out a little more, and that 6 decibels would actually help, and that this one here is 3 decibels, and yeah, and that's pretty much it. You already know what the compressor does on the bass, and it's basically, it'll make it so that you will enforce a certain level of volume while having it stay at that volume with the use of these compressors, and slightly with the help of this Fruity Distortion and the compressor from over here. But I mean, it's a master bus compressor. It doesn't compress a whole lot, it compresses the whole thing, not just the bass. Or actually it compresses the louder peaks, and that's what this SSL is for. So it is what it is. But anyway, mainly these two compressors will do the heavy lifting for your bass. That will, it's not like, well, it actually just, well, it's not really heavy lifting, but more like it does the it carries the weight specifically from the bass. So yeah. And that's pretty much it. And it's really simple to mix a bass. You can try boosting 1K, and I don't think it'll still harm your bass. And you can play around. You can, I wouldn't go ahead and like, let's say, set this on token number 2 and set it to 250 hertz. I wouldn't go ahead and cut that, because what I want for my bass is to have that complete frequency range. Even if you still have that 250, because at the end of the day, I mean, what else is playing this that 250 hertz range, except for this and maybe some other instruments. But it wouldn't really hurt. Sorry about that. It wouldn't really hurt if you just leave it be, basically, and you let it do what it wants to do, and yeah, you let it have fun. It's not really a, if even if the bass has 250, I don't think it's a huge detriment to the entire mix, or a huge turn off for the entire mix. So yeah, that's pretty much it, you guys. And thank you so much for watching, and I pretty much don't have anything else to say. And and I'm just making sure that I've already said what I want to say, for this tutorial, that hopefully you guys enjoyed, and more importantly, you've benefited from, and because that is the point of these videos, is so that you guys would benefit from them. And yeah, if you will ask me, yeah, I want to make this a full-time job, this mixing and broadcasting over at YouTube, because it I think it's good. It's so satisfying. And it's just, at one point I would mix a song every day, like every day, like I wouldn't stop, for the whole month. And it was fun. I mean, no, actually that's an exaggeration. It's not for a whole month, basically for like 2 weeks, at the most, every day. I mean, I didn't stop. I really didn't stop. All I did, I just mixed. I play video games as well, but I love this. Anyway, I don't want this video to be too long, as because there's not really much that I've taught. I'm sorry if sometimes I get off track. Anyway, so I love you all, guys. I thank you for watching, and God bless you, and happy mixing. Take care.